Perfect as always, Laura. Perfect as always. Welcome to Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. I'm your host, Rich Barris, the People's Pundit. I hope you all had a great new year. And that is what this show is about today. A new year, a new day. Trump will be certified. It's happening right now as the 47th president of the United States, the same day as, so I should have said this actually, folks, because we're going to tie this into it. Nationalist and icon, president, champion of nationalism, Donald John Trump will be sworn in today, certified, as the 47th president of the United States, while globalism icon, Justine Trudeau, resigned in disgrace before he is humiliated because he's going to get his ass kicked. All right. There was an Angus Reid poll conducted recently. We actually talked about it in book club yesterday. And he's been in trouble before and he has recuperated before, but he has never been in trouble like this. So seeing the handwriting on the wall during the holiday break, Justin Trudeau, so he says, spoke with his family, and we'll play that clip in a second. And he decided that he will not run. All right. So all in all, folks, we're entering 2025. And the question of this year is, the people are speaking. The people all over the world are speaking. Will these elites try to play the chameleon and hang on, or will they just blatantly ignore it? And I have a couple of clips that I think give us insight into it. Will they blatantly ignore and try to hold on? Because power does not give up power. The powerful do not give up power. All right. And so with that in mind, before we get into that, speaking of which, this is really kind of related here. I hope you all had a great break. I tried to relax. I tried to take a break. I haven't had a vacation in years. I'm sure many of you have not as well. I eventually plan on taking one, but I cannot sit around for more than a few days without caring. And I tried to tune it out because I'll tell you this, guys. The 2024 election and the new year, the holidays that followed. When we came up on the holidays in the new year, it dawned on me that since at least 2020, this has felt like one giant year. And I haven't stopped. The country hasn't stopped. The politics haven't stopped. There has been no honeymoon. There has been no break. There has been one escalation in lawfare over another, one threat to democracy after another. And there has been no break for people who are in this industry and people who care about their country and are active. So it has felt like one giant year wrapped up into one. And I hope you got some reprieve in that time that we had these holidays. Like I said, we're going to take time to try to just appreciate things a little bit, right? But listen, like I said, the powerful do not give up power. So no matter how much the people vote in this country and that country and whatever, they will not just give it up. Oh, okay, an election happened. That's it. I guess they don't want me anymore. I'm going to turn in my key card and head home with a nice thank you for your service. No, that is not how it's going to go. And you could see it. And there was a motivating event during that break that really sent me over the edge. Not as if I was having a difficult time. I wasn't having a difficult time to begin with, just enjoying my holiday because I'm a workaholic and because I'm so invested at this point. And it's just true. I'm invested in the outcome of this country. As if that wasn't the case to begin with, the terror attacks and the FBI lying and the FBI bumbling of it just drove me nuts. And it should tell you really a lot about some of these questions we're going to try to ask. All right, real quick things about the future, about what's going on here this year over at Inside the Numbers, which will be titled something else sometimes, which stand by. I will implore you again. If you are a supporter on locals, you need to get into the book club or watch the recorded archives. It is so, so important. It will help you understand the things that we discuss on Inside the Numbers, the trends that we analyze in our polling. It will help you on such a deeper level to understand this stuff when you attend book club. All right. It is super fun. That's number one. But also, it's super informative. All right. And we learn from each other. We learn from others. All right. Who came before us. And it helps us understand what is going on today. So we're reading Nations and Identities, which is a collection. It's edited by Vincent P. Pecora. It's not a cheap book, but there's a reason for that. A lot of academics use it. All right. And it's like some college kid who may try to buy it on Amazon is going to get hit an arm and a leg. All right. But there's a reason why so many people go to Pecora, especially when they are opening up on nations and identities and nationalism in general, because I think a lot of this has to do with each other. And we're not talking about it. Many are not talking about it at that level. All right. And it's a great intro because it will tell you what is national. You know, the left wanted to kill nationalism, and the comeback that is Donald Trump is a very significant defeat for them, because they have been trying to erase the concept of nationalism for a long time. They've tried to make it a dirty word first, right? You are Christian nationalist. Are you a nationalist? Are you a J6er? Nationalism has been around a lot longer than the time liberals realized it is antithetical to their worldview and we must erase it. And it has proven very, very difficult to defeat, right? So Thomas Norton, ancient leftist, always said, if you really want to usher in this globalism, this order, this collectivist order that we all want, nationalism's got to go. All right. And Waltz in Man State More said nationalism's more powerful than ideology. And this is, without a doubt, in academic circles, the election of Donald Trump, the certification today, the re-election of him, by the way, the second term, non-consecutive term of Donald Trump is a kick to their balls. All right. So, and Trudeau going down, a kick to their balls. Trudeau was a golden boy for them. All right. So with that in mind, it's 2:10. We do have a much more structured show this year. All right. Because look, it is what it is. You know, that's what makes the world go around. I am not one who's always structured the show out and made sure the breaks are happening at the right time. We are definitely doing that. You will see that. So a little word about the future is we are not always going to be polling as much as we were polling before the election. And sometimes people get very accustomed to that. Of course, the public polling project link is below. We just kicked out for the last one. It really didn't raise anything. We kicked out for the Christmas poll. We want to do Trump's approval again. We want to do his favorability again. The man is going to be sworn in a couple of weeks here. It's coming fast. The certification is today. I'll play you clips in a second. So we will need to get back into the field. But that being said, there will be a lot of events and a lot of things that I want to do. All right, that will be not unrelated to the polling, because you really have to understand this stuff to identify those trends. All right, so we will have something else and probably wind up doing, and not probably, this is what's going to happen. There will be more frequent videos, and they will be shorter times because they'll be like spin-offs of Inside the Numbers, and it is between the numbers. What do we do in the in-between time? And this is what we're going to do in the in-between time. Okay, all right. So with that being said, also, Laura has been beating me on the head to write that book, to finish the book, the one that I did half of, and I think it is time to do that. So again, just for me and my schedule, it would be better if we did more content, shorter videos, and gives me more time, because the 2-hour show is a big, big commitment. And it takes away from polling time I could do, or book writing I could do. Meanwhile, I had half this book just sitting here, and it's not my fault. It's half a book. It's supposed to be co-authored, but I had it just sitting there. And had it been released a year ago before this election, I'd be seen as like a freaking oracle right now. So I'm going to update it. It's going to be put out, added with a little bit of more personal flavor, which she thinks I should do, because I gave her an example and she was like, that's it. Just go do it. So that's what's going to happen. All right. And she said, don't be as wonky as our virtuous republic, because it's too damn wonky. And unless you're like writing a thesis in college, you don't want to read something like that. So I guess maybe she's right. All right. So that's what's going to happen moving forward. All right. There's something else. I'm missing it, but that's okay. If I get to it, if I remember it, pops back up in the brain, I will bring it back up. All right. So real quick though, before we get into our first little take here, I just wanted to do that little kind of open and give you guys an idea about what's going on. And I will say this again. I hope you all had a fantastic break. And now it's time to get back to work, right? Because liberty never sleeps. Rest in peace, Tom. Right? All right. With that in mind, real quick, let's take a not even 2-second break, and then we'll come back and we'll start watching some of these clips, do some side-by-sides, which I think are just, wow, it is so appropriate that Trudeau resigns hours before Donald Trump is certified as president, and Kamala Harris's forced utter humiliation to preside over the certification. All right, let's do this real quick, though. Okay, look, folks, the countdown is on before the new administration exposes this entire pandemic nonsense. Most know that a large sum of people's health was negatively impacted by the global coercion. Whether severe side effects or experiencing long COVID, check out this natural solution formulated by Dr. Peter McCullough in collaboration with the wellness company. They just leveled up their original detox formula for $30 less. Introducing the 3-in-1 Ultimate Spike Detox, conveniently consolidated into one little capsule with 4 times more nattokinase, 500 milligrams of bromelain, 500 milligrams of turmeric root extract. Nattokinase is an enzyme researched for its anti-clotting effects. It may work well to break down spike proteins. Combined with bromelain and curcumin, it provides a potent blend for detoxification and cellular support. It's crafted with 100% natural ingredients. Ultimate Spike Detox is backed by research, offering effective support for your cells, natural repair, and recovery. Experience the new formula, only approved and used by Dr. Peter McCullough, a top freedom fighter doctor who risked it all. Head to twc.health, use the code TPP for the People's Pundit to get yourself 10% off and free shipping. Again, that's the code TPP to get yourself 10% off and get back to a pre-COVID feeling. And I'm telling you, I know a lot of people, folks, who have heard this ad. They picked it up, they grabbed it, and they swear by it. They absolutely swear by it. All right. And again, you know, there's like nobody working on this stuff other than Dr. McCullough and a few others. What do we do with this spike? He just dumped it on us. All right. Let's watch Trudeau. I'm going to do the longer version of the clip. It's not the long one. The original one was like, I don't know, 6 minutes, included the Quebecois translation. And, we're not going to do all that. We're going to do the slice where it's just the English version of it, but it is the longer version of it. So here's Trudeau, who has been prime minister, folks, since 2015. All right. I mean, this guy's been around forever, like the Sandlot, forever. And he's been in trouble before, but now he is he's finished. All right. And then Trump, again, this is important because should I get this thing up here real quick? Yeah. I'm going to get the image up and just ready for it to do kind of a side by side, because you guys may remember how Donald Trump poked the bear recently, saying, you know what, Canada, don't worry, we will make you a 51st state. The Liberal Party's got a lot of problems. They're in shambles. They've always kind of consolidated behind him in the past when this has happened. I know our good friend Dave over Viva Fry, we got to have him on to talk about this. Dave is talking about a freedom fighter. This man has been anti-Trudeau, not anti-Trudeau. He's been anti-globalism and the pain it brings to all the people who don't have a voice in the system, who Trudeau doesn't care about, and champions all the people who do, the very few, by the way, who do. And during COVID, Trudeau was one of the biggest tyrants across the damn globe. And Dave Viva Fry, you guys know him as, was remarkable in his constant valid criticism of Trudeau and how he handled things. And obviously, I would use the word draconian to describe it. All right, here is Trudeau. Let's rock and roll. As soon as it plays.
Also had a chance to reflect and have had long talks with my family about our future. Throughout the course of my career, any success I have personally achieved has been because of their support and with their encouragement.
Well, you got to do that, right?
So last night over dinner, I told my kids about the decision that I'm sharing with you today. I intend to resign as party leader, as prime minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process. Last night, I asked the president of the Liberal Party to begin that process. This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election.
All right. Translation, this country needs to be governed by the Liberal Party, and I am a stain, a blight on it right now. And if I don't get out of it and take my name off the ballot, someone else could seriously win. The Angus Reid poll had his party in single digits. It was an absolute bloodbath. It projected something like they'd have like a few seats. I'm not kidding, like a handful of seats. Dave, are you watching? I think it was like 9 or something. Like he was going to get his Canadian ass stomped. All right. So this is nothing. I mean, you just simply go to Wikipedia. You don't have to take my word for it. You could simply go to Wikipedia right now and you will see it. But this is interesting because you got to put this as a side by side. Here's Donald Trump recently. Okay. Recently. All right. Many people in Canada love being the 51st state. He's just poking it because before he had obviously a few weeks ago had said, don't worry, we can make you the 51st state. And people were like, people, I mean, the media and globalists and bureaucrats and the Canadian ruling class and all of their friends in the American ruling class, like, horrified by it, of course. This is not funny. We cannot have the incoming president make statements like this. All right, so what's he going to do? Up yours. Up yours. Many people in Canada love being the 51st state. The United States can no longer suffer the massive trade deficits and subsidies that Canada needs to stay afloat. Justine Trudeau knew this and resigned. Okay. This is what's important for you guys to know because there's always the behind the scenes that media never tells you. They will never tell you this. And I know it because I know it, right? This happened all through the first Trump administration as well, but now it's going to be even worse because he knows he's got political capital. He's got capital on a level he never had it before. He didn't just beat Kamala Harris. He stomped her. He beat Kamala. Even though some of the states obviously were very close, he beat Kamala in all but one state by a larger margin than Joe Biden beat him, even though Joe Biden's electoral college vote margin and the popular vote margin was bigger. Why? There's an inherent bias against Republicans in the popular vote. Okay. All right. So, he's got the capital and he knows he's got the capital. Justin Trudeau, along with Fat Pritzker, they don't like something Donald Trump says about immigration or about tariffs, about trade or whatever it may be. And they march to the microphone and act like big baddies. And they go to their X accounts and their social media accounts and they act like tough guys. Then they pick up the phone and they beg to speak to Donald Trump. They then get on the phone and kiss his ass, including Fat Pritzker. Okay. I am so sick of nobody telling people the truth. Nobody telling people the behind the scenes. That is a show. That is a show for their base. That is a show for their voter that they know who will vote for them no matter what, and they cannot afford for them to stay home. So they put on these shows. It's also a show for their career. What are they going to do when I'm not the fat governor of Illinois anymore? What am I going to do when I'm not the slick Rick governor of California anymore? Because Gavin Newsom does it too. What am I going to do when I'm no longer the prime minister of Canada anymore? Because my party probably couldn't even get 8 seats at this current moment. What am I going to do? I need to remain in the clique, in the cool club, in the ruling class club. And in order to do that, you got to talk smack about Donald Trump publicly. In order to do that, you got to commit grievous sins against Donald Trump publicly. Privately, you kiss his ass because you know that Donald Trump will bury you if he feels like it. You know that you have no political capital and you are on your way out, and you will face the man who literally can claim the greatest political comeback in American history, if not all of human history. And the reason why I say that is because when we're talking about antiquity, it was kind of pretty easy, right? If you got the skills, if you got the skills and you got the bona fides and you got the respect of certain groups of men or certain groups of society, you just pull together an army and you take it back. And since Cincinnatus, as Bannon always likes to say, right? A little different for Cincinnatus. This guy is not allowed to deal in that kind of a world. He's got to win in a political world which is completely rigged against him. And he did it. It's probably a greater feat. Not probably. I think it is. When you have intelligence agencies against you, when you have Wall Street against you, when you have K Street against you, when you have Brussels against you, when you have the entire global media, Western media against you, what he pulled off is impossible. It's a miracle that he won this election, let alone the fact that he wasn't really close. Some states were close, but it really wasn't close. Right? Especially when you consider the movement like our friend Jay over at Qantas is talking about right now in New Jersey. By the way, don't forget, some of those counties he's got up there: Monmouth, Ocean, Middlesex, Morris, Mercer. For crying out loud, Monmouth County with Dave Wasserman for Cook Political Report the day before Election Day was like, we got to keep our eye on Monmouth. That's going to tell us by how bad it is for Trump with Republican women. It's unbelievable. And I said, bulls, you got to watch Morris County so you see how bad it is for Harris with non-whites and other groups, because he's not going to lose those Republican women. All right. The exact opposite happened. Let's get back to this. All right. If Canada merged with the US, there would be no tariffs. Taxes would go way down, and they would be totally secure from the threat of the Russian and Chinese ships that are constantly surrounding them. Together, what a great nation it would be. I'll take Calgary. Take that. I'll take the oil producing part of Canada. Sorry, Dave. You're a resident of Florida anyway now, brother. I'll take that. I'm a big, big, big proponent of you made your bed. Now you have to lie in it. Take the ones who are productive. Take the ones who are not insane. Let the rest do what they do. Truth be told, in any other time and period in human history, you just annex it. Same thing with Greenland. Trump wanted Greenland. There's reasons for that, by the way. Oh my God, that's insane. Is it? Is it really? The only problem is with that idea, Donald Trump, or President Trump. The only problem with that idea is no shared history, no shared suffering, no shared glory. We do have people in Maine who most certainly do have French-Canadian ties and ancestry, for sure. And in other parts of the U.S., but it's a whole new identity, Mr. President. A whole new identity. So we'll just take that one piece I was talking about. That one will assimilate just fine. The rest, not quite. All right. So, while that's going on, what time is it? 2:26. Okay. While that is going on, hours later, Congress convenes or reconvenes, because they came, did their thing, that they're reconvenes, and We have some video we're going to show of that. But right before we do, before Congress convened to certify the outcome of the 2024 election, Kamala Harris, whoops, that's the wrong share. Kamala Harris posted a video, which I'd like to share with you all. Okay. And in it, look, before the election, in it, it depends who you are and how you're going to look at this. You could be an idealist and you could say, look, Rich, didn't you, before the election, try to prepare the left for this defeat and then warn the country of what will be a mass mental health crisis, which is definitely there. It's just, I mean, it's not as massive as it once was. And by the way, it's snowing like hell in Washington, D.C. So would there be people turning over cars like there were in 2016 if the weather permitted it? Maybe. But I think it is clear, and it's clear from our polling, and we discussed this, that the hatred for Donald Trump is actually at an all-time low. The love for Donald Trump is at an all-time high. And the overall, whether you very much love the guy or you think you just have a favorable view of him, also at an all-time high. And it has basically marginalized that group of people that I and others, I know there were others like Mark Halpern who did it too, that I pinpointed as those who would be experiencing a mass mental health crisis after Donald Trump won this election. It's smaller now and they're marginalized. So, outside of media, the ruling class, their kids that are snots, like it's just not there. It's not there. And so, I mean, you could say you could be an idealist and say, but for those people, she was doing the responsible thing and trying to get them to move on. You could be a cynic and you could say, no, she's trying to keep this damn narrative alive and she's poking him in the eye and it's underhanded. And then also too, it's kind of like we lost, but we're still virtuous. We're still decent. We're better people than them. I think I fall somewhere in between. I think she wanted to do the responsible thing, but she can't help herself. You have to understand who these people are. These are narcissists through and through. They're egotistical through and through. Kamala Harris can't stand being a politician, but loves being a politician. Okay. She doesn't like the job. She's a lot like Barack Obama. He was a lazy son of a bitch, man. Barack Obama was a lazy dude. I'm sorry. So was Bill Clinton. Lazy SOBs. Although when Bill got up, he did his job and he did it well. And I personally very much approve of how Bill Clinton handled the presidency for the most part, especially with spending. All right. I like that he listened to the sovereign voter. That's what I think I like the most about Bill Clinton. And he listened and understood that he was not the sovereign. The voters were the sovereign. And he listened to it, right? Not particularly or overly ideological like Kamala Harris and Barack Obama are. And Harris is less ideological. She's just a natural tyrant. She's a natural tyrant. The diocese calls her up and says, I'll give you money. Don't prosecute those priests who are touching all those boys. Okay. Planned Parenthood calls her up. How much money have we given you again, Kamala? Go arrest David Daleiden. Okay. But you have to be some form of an ideologue to pull the trigger and make those decisions. It's just that she's a much more malleable ideologue than Barack Obama, who's not. He's a Stalinist, man. I mean, worse. But he hated the job as president. He couldn't stand it. He didn't like schmoozing with John Boehner. He didn't like going down to Capitol Hill to talk to people, to wrestle, to rub elbows, to schmooze with people. He didn't like the job. He didn't like going to the Oval Office and hearing briefings. He didn't like going to the Oval Office and saying, okay, what's on the agenda today? He was a lazy dude. Not as lazy as his wife, who's never worked a day in her life, but very, very lazy. He started late. He left early. It wasn't like Joe Biden, who's just senile, so he couldn't have a full day. So, you know, very, very different from that. I know I'm taking up to, I know. Structure. Let's play this clip and then we'll take the break. Okay. Here's Harris. I'll let you guys, I think, again, I find somewhere in the middle. I think she's just an ideologue, to wrap this up and come full circle. I think she's just an ideologue and cannot help herself. They are ideologues. So she is trying to keep part of that narrative alive. And I do think that she really does believe that she's better than the country who elected Donald Trump, morally, virtuously, intellectually. Okay. I think they really believe that they're more decent people. They've been feeding this bullshit down the throats of all of these Americans for years, man, since 2018, that they really believe this decency argument that they made to suburban women, especially educated suburban women, not to vote for Donald Trump or any Republican for that matter. These insurrectionists, these backwater, inbred insurrectionists. So I think she can't help herself. But at the same time, two things can be true. She can do all that with those motivations and also be motivated by and believe it, that she's doing the right thing here to try to keep stability. All right. So here's the video. Let's listen to it. Do I want to listen to it all? I don't know. Let's hear it.
The peaceful transfer of power is one of the most fundamental principles of American democracy. As much as any other principle, it is what distinguishes our system of government from monarchy or tyranny. Today at the United
Okay, then why the hell? I can't stop. I can't help it, Laura. I'll get better in a second. This is a party that tried to stop the transition of Richard Nixon, even though he won overwhelmingly. This is the party who tried to stop the transition of Abraham Lincoln. This is the party who tried to stop the transition of George Bush, not once, but twice. This is the party who tried to stop the transition of Donald Trump in 2016. And when they failed with their little electoral college faithless electors, all right, when they failed at that little scheme, they immediately went into impeach mode and they used a fake hoax that the president engaged in some kind of conspiracy with a foreign power to steal an election. So this is real rich, man. Real rich, baby.
United States Capitol, I will perform my constitutional duty as Vice President of the United States to certify the results of the 2024 election. This duty is a sacred obligation.
Is it? Or do you not have a large enough percentage of fanatics to back you up this time? Can we just ask that, folks, for a second? Let's just be real for a second. Everything I just told you about Trump's popularity and how it's different than it has ever been and what's going on there, she lost a huge chunk of her own base between Hispanics and black men and even black women. She lost a huge chunk of her non-white base. Educated voters actually did not vote for her in droves higher than Biden. That didn't happen. White people, yes, are getting more Democratic, but for the most part, they are still overwhelmingly Republican. So, the bottom line is here, is it true that all of a sudden they found Jesus, folks, and they found some, deference and reverence and love for the U.S. Constitution, that all of a sudden they feel this obligation and duty to uphold it? The same people unanimously struck down by the Supreme Court multiple times for their unconstitutional efforts to stymie Donald Trump and his movement? Or is it that they looked at the numbers and they know that they do not have the numbers to try to pull overtly what they wanted to pull with Jamie Raskin? Some new version of what they have been pulling for years, not even predating Donald Trump, but definitely during the era of Donald Trump. In other words, to put it very simple, I call BS. They don't have the numbers. They know they don't have the numbers. It will get even worse for them. The country will vomit them like Christ vomits the lukewarm. And they will squander any hope of making gains in the 2026 midterm election. That's what's going on here, folks. She lost the threat to democracy vote. Marinate on that for a minute. Obligation, my ass.
One I will uphold, guided by love of country loyalty to our Constitution, and my unwavering faith in the American people. As we have seen, our democracy can be fragile, and it is up to then each one of us to stand up
as we
for our most cherished.
Wait a minute. Here's the cynic now in me. This is not even cynic. Here's the realist in me calling out what I was talking about before, which it can, multiple things can be true here. Okay. As we have seen before, our democracy can be fragile. The hell are you talking about, J6? Nobody believes that anymore, Kamala. Nobody believes that anymore. You're still riding this pony? Everybody knows that you and your friends in the administrative state had FBI agents, human assets, lighting a fuse like they are so very good at. So they don't have to do the dirty work themselves. They just get others to do it for them. Everybody knows this now. Who are you bullshitting? Donald Trump won the voter who said, threat to democracy is most important to me. As we predicted, by the way.
Principles. And to make sure that in America, our government always remains of the people, by the people, and for the people. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States.
I'm not even going to let that finish. I can't do it. All right. So earlier, as they should do. I mean, I guess. Congress gave her a warm welcome when they reconvened. This was no doubt going to be an extremely humiliating moment for Kamala Harris. And if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm chewing on my multivitamin. All right. I'm 43. Who should get him to? Speaking of which, we're going to talk about that in a second. I guess I would still at least stand and give her some degree of respect. I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't. I don't respect the woman at all, folks. It's no secret. I don't want my daughter being like her. I really don't respect her. Would I do it for the good of the country? I don't know. I guess I'd have to be in the hallowed halls to know for sure. Do you want your daughter? Liberal men listening, do you want your daughter to make the decisions Kamala Harris made to get where she is? Do I have to be vulgar? You know what I'm talking about. I have almost, and look, I'm not holding her to a different standard because she's a woman. I'm holding her to any standard like that I would want, I'm holding her to a standard that as a father, I would want my daughter to meet in this world. Like, that hope I raise her well enough that she doesn't take it upon herself to sleep with a married elderly man in order to start a career in politics and beat a guy she knew she couldn't beat without Willie's help. All right, here's the moment she came in. Congress reconvenes. They're getting ready to certify the outcome by state of the 2024 election, certify those electoral college votes. And here's the moment she enters the halls. Some awkward moments coming. Here she comes. I mean, understand she's going to have to stand next to Mike Johnson. Ooh, hiccup. She's going to have to stand next to Mike Johnson very soon and listen to these states get called out with Senator Amy Klobuchar reading the tallies and saying that they are in fact valid and credible results. There's the moment she shakes hands with Mike Johnson. There they go. They're getting ready. It's tough. Look at that. Look at her body language. Very, very difficult. She does the small chit chat, the small talk, in order to, of course, look, this can't be easy for her. I'm not saying you have to care. I'm just saying we should acknowledge that that moment cannot be easy for her. All right. And, does part of me feel a little bit sorry for her? Not really. I mean, honestly, you put yourself up there. I really don't feel sorry for her in the least. I'm simply saying that we should at least acknowledge that that is no easy feat to get up there after losing an election. This is why vice presidents typically don't make great candidates, and then it's just like very awkward afterwards if you lose to have to go through it. And it's certainly something that every candidate who's a vice president, sitting vice president at the time, will consider, or if they have good advisors, will tell them, look, if you don't win this, imagine the reality that you will have to undergo. It will be the worst, one of the worst days of your life when you have to get up there and still conduct your duties and obligations as the vice president. You will have to listen to each state reject you. You will have to listen to the applause of members of Congress from those states when those tallies are read out. Battleground states where you were overwhelmingly rejected, as it turns out for her anyway. Two of which I'm going to show you clips from in a second. And I want you to pay attention to her face. Why am I doing this? Because I think her state of mind is indicative of the ruling class's state of mind. Only it's more personal, of course, for her. And I think that she will tell us a lot about how those who will remain with influence intend to conduct themselves. Because like I said, they just don't roll over, folks. They just don't roll over. We do have a couple of minutes here. And while we do, then, I just have a hard time feeling bad for anybody who does not respect voter sovereignty. They have made me, I'm not going to say bitter. I just got this year, folks, I got very, very tired, even to the point of angry, of listening to the frustrations of the American public, because I know that there are elements in our government and in our political system that could care less about their will and what they want. I know that even when they lose an election, they don't respect that decision at all. And she said she had the utmost faith in the American public, but that's not true. And we all know it. And they go on to undermine their will, and they go on to undermine their direction at every chance they can. All right. So let's go with this one more before we have to bizounge. Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, I know. And we will in the future, episodes, we'll talk a lot more about these pollsters and this. Like, that's part of the idea of like what we're going to do moving forward. What are we going to do about these pollsters who have no shame and just continue to go, full blaze forward without any care whatsoever to the fact that they were wrong, that they should be humiliated. I mean, it's just unbelievable. You know what? No, I'm not going to do it. We're not going to go back in time. I had a clip I wanted to show you where where we can all go back and see. She has to throw this little crack in there, but we can all go and see the moment where Donald Trump explicitly told those people not to be violent. But we don't even need to do that. Oh, man. By the way, the shellackings in New Jersey and Pennsylvania and Florida, in Arizona, We have a bunch of voter registration updates in Michigan, even though there's no registration by party. We got the last subset of numbers to show how these no and low prop voters turned out, where they turned out, and how they voted. It continues. And at some point, we're going to have to refocus on the Republican Party instead of the Democratic Party. I mean, they have lost, but they're going to sit there and be what you expect them to be, opponents out of power, trying to take advantage of division. But that cannot stop. If the Republican Party wants to continue this, and they are, I'm talking about just massive gains in voter registration. New Jersey, folks, was disgusting. It was like 6-1 voter registration advantage last month. It was disgusting. And this is when like everything dies down. And we are getting some remnants of efforts from like Musk and 10X votes and others and Turning Point. We're getting remnants of that, and we're hearing about these updates, but it's still not enough. Like, you could see how Republicans underperform Trump everywhere, and we can always go back over that data. But the fact is, at some point, Republicans are going to have to turn inward and start getting rid of their own who are also part of the problem. So this idea that just because they have an R, and the same thing goes for you too, Democrats. I mean, you're both guilty of this. Just because they have a D or an R after their last name does not make them better. That is a establishment talking point. Right? Like, again, not to beat up on him or anything, but yeah, I mean, I guess I am beating up on him. Just because John Duarte had an R after his last name does not make him better than Adam Gray. As it turns out, he wasn't. With all of the wrongdoings and the law breaking and the abuse of power and prosecutorial misconduct, he was unable and unwilling to do a damn thing about the Justice Department and the FBI. Like Justine Trudeau during his resignation speech, the rest of which I didn't play. So they cite Ukraine, funding Ukraine, as among their most proud accomplishments. Right? All right. Let's go back, stick with one thing. We'll head on to that in a second here, but let's stick with one thing. Let's play this clip before the next break. All right. Here is, and it's been doing this, but here is Kamala Harris. Let me rewind it. You could listen. There's no reason to watch Amy Klobuchar here. She actually, I went back and looked at it 3 or 4 times to watch everyone's body language. I wanted to watch Amy Klobuchar. I wanted to watch Speaker Johnson. But of course, I wanted to watch Kamala Harris. And what is going on right now is Amy Klobuchar just got done reading one of the states. She's going down and just basically saying, this is the electoral votes received by each candidate. These votes are valid and credible and legitimate, and we accept them. And you look already, you can see the look on Kamala Harris's face. And we're going to move on to 2 states in general right now, which were a big deal. And don't forget, do not forget how many Democratic donors and bundlers are so pissed over this. They were told by data people, by Harris's campaign, Harris basically assumed all of the apparatus of the party. They were told, folks, Florida would be competitive. Give us millions for Florida. We're going to run ads in Florida because Donald Trump's going to lose 15% of Republican women. It's easy to look at the results now and say, oh, Florida wasn't competitive. Folks, I was literally alone. I was the first pollster to put out a double-digit lead for Donald Trump. The New York Times eventually would join us. Our final would also still be double digits, but we understated him all the while with they were slamming not just us, but the New York Times poll, calling it an outlier. St. Pete, single digits. All of these other pollsters, single digits. Give me a break, folks. Donald Trump flipped Duvall back. Won Miami-Dade by 6 points more than we projected that he would. So obviously he won the state by about 2 points more. But that was not the narrative. Arizona, there were polls to the final day. The New York Times among them. Marist College among them. That had Donald Trump losing the state of Arizona to Kamala Harris. He kicked her you-know-what. He beat her in Arizona worse than he beat Hillary Clinton in Arizona in 2016. And that's before he lost it to Joe Biden by a narrow margin, if you believe that, which I don't. But anyway.
The certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Arizona seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 11 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 11 votes for vice president. The certificate.
Right, now we're going to go back. We don't have to watch the whole thing. Let's start here before the Zoom. All right, so we were all focused on Kamala Harris right there, okay? Now, just for a little laugh from my Republican listeners, watch Mike's face, okay? Watch Mike's face.
And it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 11 votes for president, and J.D. Vance of the state of Ohio received 11 votes for vice president.
Yeah. You're so cheesy, Mike. You're so cheesy. That's so funny, though. Hey, Bob's like, tell me he didn't look like I'm tearing, actually, because I'm laughing. Tell me he didn't look like a giddy little boy. He was so happy. He was like, yeah, I got my Snicker bar from that house on Halloween or something, you know? Like, didn't he look so happy? He was like a little boy, like, yeah, got what I wanted. By the way, we will speak a little bit about the speaker vote. I do have something I want to say about that. But we'll do that when we come back. Again, very, very difficult moment. Must have been extremely, extremely difficult. You could see it in Kamala Harris's face. Not a fun time. This is probably going to end up being one of the worst days of her life. All right. I'm serious. One of the worst days of her life. Listen, I'm so happy, though, to bring this to you, to bring this back to you, man. We love these guys. Laura and I absolutely, it's like, if it's not Laura and I approved, you know, we're just not going to do it anyway. It's that simple. But whether or not this company advertises with us, we absolutely love this product. So we were very happy when they wanted to come back on board. So again, I really can't stress it enough that this is something that once we tried it, it's been a staple in our entire family. All right. So yeah, absolutely love the folks at Brickhouse, and they're back. Field of Greens. I mean, look, we just had the holidays too, right? So I try to eat healthy. Maybe many of you do too. But I am a human being. I like what I like. Occasionally, I fall off the healthy eating wagon, right? We all should. And we all should eat 5 servings of fruits and veggies a day. But it just doesn't happen. It's not happening. I cheated the other day. I fell off the healthy eating wagon. I ate a cookie that was at this vendor fair that my daughter goes to with stuff she makes and sells. She's such a great little entrepreneur. I love her to death. Of course, I love all my kids to death, but man, she's an entrepreneur, and it's just exciting to watch. Anyway, I like to support those people over there. So I see this like delicious chocolate chip cookie with a brownie in it. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting that. And it was just the holidays. But even if you wanted to, it is so difficult to pack 5 servings of fruit and vegetables into your day. You know, so what's the point of supplements or green drinks if you're not 100% confident they'll improve your health, right? That's Field of Greens. They keep me on track from all those little wagon falls off. Yes, of course, mess up my diet. And the great thing about it is that Field of Greens is radically better. It's the only one that promises better health or your money back. And just enjoy a delicious glass of Field of Greens. I like lemon lime. Laura likes berry. I got mine right here. I'm going to show you in a second, right? But each day you have your glass, and at your next checkup, your doctor will notice that you improved your health or your money back. Each fruit and veggie, let's call it, in Fields of Greens was doctor selected for a specific health benefit. There's a heart health group, lungs, kidney groups, metabolism, even for healthy weight loss. I love the energy that I get with Field of Greens. I get it immediately. Everyone's different. I get it immediately. And the better health promise that comes along with it, that your doctor will notice your improved health or you get your money back. It just doesn't get any better than that. I got your discount to get you started. Use the code TPP. Again, same code, making it easy for you guys at fieldofgreens.com, which you're looking at right now. fieldofgreens.com. You resolve to get healthier this year, maybe? Great. How are you going to do it? Supplements? Okay. Some green fruit and vegetable drink? Fine. But ask yourself, do any of these promise better health? No, they don't. What's the point of green drinks and health supplements if you are not 100% confident? All right. So there it is. Again, get your New Year's discount. Go to use the code TPP at fieldofgreens.com. Once again, TPP at fieldofgreens.com and get your discount. And if you don't see a benefit, get your money back. But I like the lemon lime. Last time we were doing Field of Greens, it seemed like I could swear I should have done a poll. I swear. It seemed like a lot of the ladies like the berry, and Laura likes the berry, and the guys like a lemon lime or nothing. And I used to put it in body armor, but I've just grown so accustomed to it now. I just drink it with water. I just drink it. It was right here, actually. I just had it. I love it. And I got energy, bang, just like that. But also because I ate like crap through the holidays, and that it's now really time to get back on track. We actually scheduled, this is actually really cool. Laura said, I'm tired of like the kids being always so busy and us trying to throw together last minute crap, which always leads to sometimes too much like food, even though we don't like fast food really, but we try to get as healthy as we can when we have to do it. But even when you do, and you're like, all right, go to the sushi thing at the grocery store, or just get a wrap or something at the grocery store, or whatever it may be. Or she was tired of it and she wanted something different. So she put together this entire schedule of how we're going to eat. Now she's got all these things for when it's just me and the kids, or me and the boys, really. And the girls are gone for competitions or something. Then I got these bakes and she's got them dated with her markets. It's just incredible. She made something the other day that I couldn't believe it was good for you. It was like pine nuts in the sauce. It was like a tortellini pesto bake. And it was over the moon good. I don't know if you guys know what pesto is. We're Italian, but oh my God. And it was great to have something different, but it was chicken tortellini pesto bake. Phenomenal. And a lot of times I'm getting older, I love cheese. Love it. But I always got to watch how much cheese I have. It may give me like a stomach ache or something, you know? I just slammed this. It was so good. So good. Yeah. Bob says, beer is healthy, especially IPAs. You know, I have thought about the red wine a night thing. I have family in Italy still, apparently, which I found looking to get our citizenship. And they do that, right? They do it. They do the whole 9 yards. All right. They have groves, olive groves or whatnot. They do the whole 9, grape and olives, and they do the whole 9 yards with that. You know, Pops is like, I don't even know how old he is now. The patriarch, whatever you want to call it. And they really do, you know, swear by that. And there's research for it. I thought about it, but I said, let's try the healthier way first. And being organized is a big deal. But again, even with all of that, you'll never get all those five fruits and vegetables a day. It's not going to happen. So Field of Greens is awesome for that. All right, I want to talk about the speaker vote. All right, I just got a little bit of something to say about that. All right, and sometimes, folks, I'll go over and I'll say what I want to say, and you know, whether or not it's an hour a show, may be kind of irrelevant. So sorry about that, but got to structure it, yes. But if I want to go over a little bit, talk about something, I'm going to go over it. The bottom line here, what on earth is happening up there? The bottom line here is, it's a little frustrating to hear these like conservative purists, right? And that's what they say, right? They're like the pure ones, right? Always fighting with MAGA. Yeah, and I'm just gonna name a couple of people here: Chip Roy, Dan Crenshaw, and I like Tom. And Tom saw the benefit of doing the Four Freedoms poll. Him and Barnes discussed it in great detail. He was also incredibly helpful in the effort to raise awareness of these issues that RFK was championing that led to Trump and RFK kind of merging And now RFK obviously is going to be a member of the administration. It looks to us like he does have the votes, or at least it looks very good. So again, there's value there, and I don't want to say that, but there's a lot of egotistical bullshit going on right now. So where was Tom Massey when Mike Cassidy was running against the other Mike in Mississippi 3? And Kevin McCarthy spent a huge wad of the Congressional Leadership Fund attacking Cassidy, who forced the other Mike into a runoff. Where was Mike Cassidy when Republicans nominated one of the worst possible people to represent California 13, which I told you exactly how this would play out? He would win in 22 by a hair because it's 22. And then when those Hispanics come back into the electorate in a presidential cycle, they will vote for Donald Trump in significantly larger numbers than they will vote for the Republican candidate, because this guy is awful. Where was Tom Massey? Right? So this idea that you need this like perfectly conservative, libertarian, MAGA mixed speaker with a few vote majority is just BS. They're promising voters an agenda that they don't have the numbers for. And they're holding Mike Johnson to account for that scenario. Now, without giving him the benefit of the doubt that he will do better under Trump when Trump is sworn in. And ultimately, it doesn't even matter because Trump has a little something called a veto. If you care about Mike Johnson having to work with Democrats to get that done or this done, if you care that Mike Johnson had to work with rhinos to get this done and that done, then where the hell were you when the real fights mattered? Where the hell were you? Because let's face it, this crowd, the only endorsements they give are the ones that get snuck in through their buddies and buddies of their buddies. And I know a guy and I know a girl, and oh, check this one out. She's got X numbers of followers on Twitter, and oh, check this one out. We share the same bundler and we can use that. And oh yeah, the base hates him and or hates her, and we can, support this guy to be the anti-establishment or anti-rhino candidate. It's all a scam. It's all a charade. That's how Adam Kinzinger got into Congress, ladies and gentlemen. Dan Crenshaw snuck into Congress under those delusions. Who else? There's a lot of them who rode these so-called like Tea Party conservative waves in and then ended up to be completely disgusting rhinos. Peter Meyer, same thing. I'm super conservative and I love the president and blah, 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 blah. Horseshit. The guy sat on his ass for the last year, didn't help anyone who would have been a MAGA ally or a limited government ally. The worst possible scenario that resulted in a Republican House came to fruition while he sat up on Twitter posting wise-ass remarks. He's like the libertarian Mike Garcia. All to the applause of the clapping seals like Dana Lash and the rest of them. Where the hell was she? Did any of these people help to elevate legitimate, credible primary challengers who could have given you a completely better Republican conference that would have been more conservative and more MAGA? No. I am no fan of Kevin McCarthy, but the even going back to that effort, The strategy was wrong. Kevin McCarthy's not an ideologue. He's a crook, and you can always count on him to put Wall Street and K Street first. At least you know that. But he also had enough political clout with these people that if you pressured him and got him to understand that if you do this, I'm going to freaking ruin you. He had the political clout that he could pick up the phone and he could go, listen, you know I'm always here for you, but I can't give you this one. If I do, there'll be a revolt and your money's down the drain anyway. Can't give you this one. I'm not dying on this hill. You shouldn't die on it either. We're moving on. Instead, that's not good enough. And by the way, you get the added benefit of making a piece of shit be a punching bag for you and a scapegoat for when everything goes wrong. Instead, that wasn't good enough. All the while, by the way, so you could focus on things that matter, like Massey and Dana and the rest of them didn't focus on. The Chip Roys and the rest of them did not focus on. Ultimately, everyone but Massey caved anyway. All these people, big mouths, big tough guys. One phone call from Donald Trump. They shit their pants and they vote for the guy anyway. I'm just so tired of the charade. They wasted over a year, which could have been better spent to primary good people in there who would abide by the voters, the will of the voters and voter sovereignty instead of Wall Street, K Street, the military industrial complex. They wasted their time and energy on nonsense. And this one was perhaps the biggest, dumbest charade of them all. The only reason you have a problem with Mike Johnson is because you plucked a guy who had a blue-collar voting record out of being a member. Now he's holding the gavel, and it's a totally different job. And by the way, somehow Massey was all right with Kevin McCarthy, but who never had a good conservative voter record. Never. Not when they were the Young Guns. Remember Young Guns? Paul Ryan, Eric Cantor, Kevin McCarthy, 3 conservative rebels on a mission to reduce the size of government, block grant Medicaid back to the states. You don't remember those videos, those ads? The 3 of them walking together in slow motion, like they're in Knight Rider or something. So ludicrous and embarrassing. Young Guns. Who are you, Emilio Estevez, bitch? You're a crook and a chump. All 3 of you. Far as hell away from Charlie Sheen as far as being rebels on a mission to take down the establishment. And you know nothing about winning. It was the stupidest thing ever. He's fine with Kevin McCarthy, but he's got big issues with Mike Johnson. Get out of here, man. This show shit has got to stop. We have more debt that we could possibly pay off. There's a coalition in your party that is hanging by a thread anyway. If you don't deliver for them, you're going to lose them anyway. Ask Mike Garcia how that's going for him. Oh, that's right. Mike's not in Congress anymore. Who's the dumbass now, Mike? I mean, it seems to me there are better things to spend your energy on instead of pretending to be this conservative fighter who's going to make promises to his voters he knows he has no chance to deliver. Come on, man. Get over it. Get over yourself. You're not that important. You want to hear the truth? You're not that important. And you're sure as hell not as important as the agenda or the future of the country. Tax cuts and Jobs Act are going to sunset. 70% file their taxes as individuals, small businesses. Small business employers, 70% of them file their taxes as individuals making money out of an LLC. If the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act expires or sunsets, we're all. There are more important things to worry about and concern yourself with. And in case you haven't noticed, all of these new Hispanic Trump voters and Black Trump voters, they don't like you very much. It doesn't matter if you think you're right or not, which I don't think you think. I think you think you're too important. I think your head is blown up. I think you have an ego the size of... Never mind. I was going to make a very gross comparison. But in any event, even if that wasn't the case and you were being earnest, these people optically cannot see you fighting with Donald Trump. Every time that happens, you reinforce the idea that Donald Trump is a different kind of Republican. The Republican Party is not filled with people who have the same interests that Donald Trump has, which is, by the way, them. They see Donald Trump's interests as what's best for them. And when you oppose him like that, without cause or good reason, let's be, like a realistic reason, there will be times when I'm going to tell Donald Trump he's wrong 100%. Like the time you all voted for the omnibus bill when he was president and he did not want to, and he wanted to veto it, but you lied to him and promised him that you would give him the rest of the money for his wall. Remember that? So before the break, because the midterms were coming, he begrudgingly signed that bill. And you f***ed him. Where were your principles then? Selective, isn't it? They are not convinced, these voters are not convinced that you are earnest or that you are genuine. And doing this crap doesn't help. Are you the new Paul Ryan or something? Because I got to tell you, although it feels like this election just ended, it was already 2 months ago. We will enter the midterm season much faster and sooner than you think. How much time do you think you have to convince these voters to also vote for you? It was already a Herculean task to get them to vote to begin with, but because it was Donald Trump and because of hard work of people who are not you, by the way, not your party, not your super PACs, not your organizations, bunch of unsung heroes who aren't getting spots on Fox News, who don't have their own podcast to toot their own horn. They did it. They convinced their brothers, their sisters, their cousins, their coworkers, their neighbors, their friends to go vote for him because they knew they liked him. Your vote does matter. Just do it. You know how hard it's going to be to convince those people to go vote in a midterm election for a party they distrust? As hard as you think that is right now, is if it's sinking into you, how difficult it'll be. Imagine how hard it's going to be if we have self-righteous people like that repeatedly showing them that there are elements of the Republican Party who are in fact not MAGA at all. I could run the clips. We all saw them on X. I could run the clips. The dude's not MAGA. Someone who's MAGA does not boast about supporting his opponent. Someone who's MAGA does not boast about derailing his agenda. Someone who's MAGA does not boast about publicly opposing things he says and does. Tom Massey's brand of Republicanism would have lost the presidential election. The candidate Tom Massey supported, Ron DeSantis. Nothing personal against the guy. His brand of Republicanism would have lost the presidency of the United States, would have lost the White House. And God knows what would have happened to the tiny majority in the House of Representatives without Donald Trump on the ballot. You're not important in the grand scheme of things. You're not important. Well, every human life is important. Every member is a part of is a cog in the machine, and I guess they're important. You're not as important as your mommy told you when you were a baby, apparently. You know who's important? The voters who you keep blowing smoke up their asses. $317. $317. One more, and it's basically a wrap, I guess. What the hell happened to my thing? New year, new banner? No, same banner. All right, folks, listen. At the end of the year, I told you that there's two things that I do. One is figure out what else I can do with a little bit of my money to save and try to build my wealth and save for my kids when I'm gone. And two is to give to charities that I feel like are doing good work. And can I squeeze a little bit more out? But even in the new year, never a bad time. Look, if you've ever thought about protection or even just diversification, and you're thinking about gold or silver or other precious metals, platinum, I'm starting to get very interested in myself, then I can tell you that there is no better place to go than our friends over at Freedom Gold. And it's not a word, in a shortened version, I just love that these guys really do care about making you understand what you're doing, making sure that you have the information you need to be confident and without the hard sell. I could go on and tell you all about some really awesome deals that they have, and they do. The fact that they limited their buy-in, their intro fee. Most of these houses are 50, 20 grand, even 10 on the low end. And Freedom Gold is 5, but they lowered it even for viewers of the People's Pundit shows. It's just $500. And you still get thrown into a prize pool, which is like a raffle, and someone's going to win free silver every month. It's really incredible. Plus, by the way, if you open a new gold or silver IRA, you get a $500 credit. I mean, that is something. All right. No matter what you do, and you can go to the website, freedomgoldusa.com/rich. Check out what other deals you may qualify for. But no matter what you do, you're going to end up with free shipping and insurance on every order. It's just very, very, very generous offer. Again, you could also call their number, which I love it. It's for us, but I love it when you say the People's Pundit sent you anyway. It couldn't hurt. 888-279-3592. 888-279-3592. And by the way, even earnest inquiries get thrown into the raffle. All right. But once again, 888-279-3592, or go to their website, freedomgoldusa.com/rich. freedomgoldusa.com/rich. And I think this Saturday we're doing our interview about the raffle. All right. So keep that in mind. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. You know what I liked about the interview we had with him last time is that we did discuss how there are immense challenges ahead, including the sunsetting of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. And then also the debt and the Fed and other central banks buying up physical currencies, physical gold, silver, platinum. And at some point, these guys are going to make it so you can't even buy physical holdings. You'll get a note, I hope not, but that is the trajectory. And that's where we're at. What do they know? Why are they buying up all of these assets? All right. Drum roll. Is that it already? It is it already. All right. Like I said, more shows, often less time, but more shows. Let me just give you some voter registration updates. All right. Going for the state of Pennsylvania, this change in voter registration. All right. Democrat advantage is now just 118,000 and change. That's it. Man, we need to run another voter analysis. We should do a machine learned voter analysis and plug out what we can from this stuff. It's incredible. Incredible. There are now the change, 11,148 more Republicans being added to the rolls. This is the January update. All right. Democrats are down 2,645. Independents are up 10,393, which Donald Trump won. Trump, of course, won the state by 1.71. It's interesting that Democrats are collapsing like this and independents are rising. It's important to note that we got to keep track on that, keep tabs on that, because are they just going to make independents more liberal, or are they like people who are just completely abandoning the Democratic Party? All right, we had a significant number of, especially men, registered Democrats voting for Donald Trump on a nightly basis when we were tracking the state of Pennsylvania all the way up into the end, which we called Trump +2. He won it by 2 rounded. Almost perfect poll in the state of Pennsylvania. Right. 12, 14% on a given night, not uncommon. I'm voting for Donald Trump. They would call themselves, in many cases, some would say they're Democratic, of course, but they would call themselves, among those who were registered Democrats who called themselves independents, Donald Trump was winning right around 14% of them, and they were mostly male. All right, so vast majority male. So you got to keep an eye on this and see whether or not some of the women end up just making independents more liberal, or maybe not at all. Maybe Democrats are just losing them. All right. Also, I had some New Jersey numbers here too. I had some a bunch of states, Nevada as well. But we'll end with New Jersey because I'm telling you, stop with the crap with Massey and all the rest of them. Assault the Mid-Atlantic. If you are a Republican strategist and you do not see that there is a gold mine in the Mid-Atlantic, as long as Donald Trump remains the standard bearer and Trumpism remains the standard bearer of this party, then there is an enormous opportunity to flip some very long-time Democratic states. And if you do that, they are screwed. Listen to this voter registration advantage. I told you auto voter registration was nothing to be afraid of, as long as you have verification procedures in place to ensure that there's no funny business going on. Illegals aren't being added to the rolls, because unfortunately, auto voter registration does have a loophole. It can happen, especially in certain states like Minnesota, California, right? It definitely can happen, right? Republicans in New Jersey, as of, again, January, closing the book. 6,709 new registrations, changed from December. Democrats added at least, they fell in Pennsylvania. They added at least in New Jersey a whopping 738. No, not 738,000. 738 voters. That's it. There were 5,081 new others, because there are different registrations in New Jersey, and when you combine them all, they come to 5,081. Again, still a heavily Democratic state. Trump coming within 6 points of winning it. Morris County flipping, Monmouth, Ocean shifting even more to the right. A lot of work to do in Bergen. The numbers are there if it's Trump's coalition. Think about how much that state shifted without a damn bit of work. There are some private groups there that tried. There was certainly, and they laughed at them, by the way. They laughed at Republicans for opening up their Central Jersey office in Union, which technically is Central Jersey, but they laughed at them for it, and now I know why they did that. Because Morris, you can go north if you want to Bergen, but you can also just go a little bit south, hit Monmouth, shore up your base. Make sure that that shift you're seeing with certain Jewish blocks is real, is going to stay, has staying power. Gets out. Ocean. So you know, Manasquan and all these small little shore but Republican towns like Manasquan and Brielle and all those other areas. By the way, Brielle Yacht Club, shout out to you. We miss you. Make sure they get out. Somebody have a mahi bite over at the sandbar, please. I know it's cold over there now, but if anybody is by Wall, Manasquan, Brielle, of course, Belmar even, it's not that far, please go to the sandbar and get a mahi bite for me and tell me how they are. I miss them so much. The Sandbar was one of my favorite places to take Laura. As was Wharfside. I don't even know if it's still in business anymore. Wharfside. I'm sure Sandbar is. I can almost guarantee it is. It's a staple of the yacht club. You remember the Sandbar, honey?
Oh.
I said if anybody is in Brielle, Wall, Manasquan, even Belmar, if you're anywhere near there, if you're in Howell or Freehold, take the damn ride. Go to the yacht club. Go to the yacht hub and get a mahi bite for the People's Pundit and tell me how good it was. Remember the mahi bites?
You
remember the frog alamant? Oh, the crab legs. What was that, Tuesday night? The fried galamon?
Yeah.
First of all, you smell delicious. I don't know what that is. Is that what I got you for Christmas? It smells wonderful.
No, I just go get my own perfume. Since when? You're the one who buys it.
We should take a ride just to go to the yacht club.
Yeah, I'm down.
We should have hit the yacht club up on the way back from New York.
I want to show kids the city, but not like, just a quick drive-by.
It's Italy or that. Because if we do that, I'm going to bring them everywhere. I'm going to take them to Smithville. I'm going to show them where we got married in Millstone. I'm going to take them when we get to the city. We'll go to there's a little bit of Italy. I'm willing to show them. The rest is not what it used to be.
No. The good part. Ooh, I'm in the camera.
So what? By the way, locals, you see Laura? Go sign up to locals. Be a local supporter. Like, don't pimp me. She promised that if Trump wins and is inaugurated, she'll go on camera. But she already did put a picture up. Yeah. I'm basically done with the show. I'm just kind of shooting it. You know what I mean?
That's nice of you.
I was much more structured. You'd be so proud of me.
I would be.
I did. I got every ad read in. I did. I did. I got Field of Greens. I got the wellness. I feel bad. Freedom Goal.
There you go.
I did it. I'm pretty proud of myself. I did it. All right, so that's that's the future there, folks. That's the future there. Oh yeah, you want to show them your Christmas present? She got a new face for it. I didn't get her the face. She did that, but 2 years ago she wanted an Apple Watch, and I knew she wanted an Apple Watch, and I'm like, that's going to be her gift for Christmas. And then my daughter is like, Daddy, here's my Christmas list. And it's an Apple Watch. And I'm like, because you can't do both.
You can, but it's just not right. It takes away the glory of her
gift. You can't. It's almost impossible for that anyway. I did get her other things, but including the perfume that I was just commenting on. But this is one thing that she got me, which is really cool. So obviously with my hip, it's a pain in the butt to have a million things in my pocket, right? And I don't like big wallets at all. So I have a man purse now. Are you ready? I have a man purse. It's not a man purse. It's actually for the new phone, right? And then, whoops, people zoom in like, yo, what's his card number? But then like inside, you can't see the card number. But inside is like just your basics. So, don't leave home without it. American Express, your ATM. Yeah. And you can still charge. Yeah. Through it, I mean. Like with the pad.
Not that.
Yeah, you can. I did it in the car.
Oh, really?
I put it on the circular pad in the car and it charged. Yeah. I was like, what? Yeah, I thought it would be too thick, but you can feel it. The magnet's not as strong, but you feel it and it connects. It's cool.
And then you can take your phone out, right?
Yeah.
Take it out real quick.
I should show them the bag you gave me for traveling. That's funny because you did it. I have no idea how to take it out.
Just open it.
Or you just pull it? Yeah. Oh.
All right. Now, what's really cool is, let me see. Is this metal?
Yeah, it's metal. But part of it's metal. Down here's metal.
Okay.
Why? It's not that much.
Okay. But so let's say you're doing something and let's say you're making,
that's cool,
I don't know, something, and you put it on the side of your fridge, it will stick to the refrigerator.
Yeah. She also got spice racks on the refrigerator now, and they're magnets and they're really cool. We're trying to make things organized. I was telling them about how you're doing the meal structure now and stuff, because I was talking about Field of Greens and how important that is. But the meal structure, I told them about the tortellini.
The major hit of dopamine I get knowing that I do not have to plan a meal that is already planned, broken down into ingredients, and it tells you how to cook it.
We look, we're both good cooks, but we've been having the same thing for a very long time. And you're running around constantly with the kids. It's too much. So it's like, it's too much to last. You know what we were both getting tired of? Oh my God, it's 5 o'clock already. What do you want to do for dinner? Like, that's too late.
And then
this one's got band. This one's got dance. The neighbor's got dance. This one's doing it's. So she put it ahead of time. The chicken tortellini bake was pesto chicken tortellini bake.
Yes.
Over the moon good. I'm not gonna lie to you. It has taken all of me. Not to bust in that freezer and eat that. I know I'm not.
That's Thursday.
It's
dinner.
so good.
So I make enough.
Can't wait for Thursday.
Well, I'm saying I make enough where you can freeze half of it.
Yeah, that's what I was telling them. And you even wrote dates on them.
Yeah.
So cute. And instructions. Rich, preheat the oven to this.
Please
change the aluminum foil. Replace aluminum foil. Bake it this degrees for this amount of minutes. So good.
I idiot-proof it.
Eat by X date. It's so good, man. It's so I don't know why the heck we didn't do the election was just like so adding all the stuff that obviously you have normal in life and then throwing the election on top of it. It's a lot.
And then the emails and the producers and speaking to
baby, I have 1,800 emails. And most of it's trash. It's just trash. Somebody got a hold. Some conservative list got a hold of my email, and now I'm being bombarded by every conservative website in the world, every conservative group in the world. Like somebody took my email and sold my email. Like that's it. Great, thanks. And whoever you are, Missy Mamada.
Hey,
yeah, I'm hungry. It's lunchtime, guys. Don't you think? Or no, it's not lunchtime. It's like almost dinner time. Oh, wait. But we're not having a dinner. We're going to wait for dinner. I'm going to wait because I ate way too much during the holidays. I'm sure all of you did as well. But I really I really hope you guys, you look beautiful. I really hope you guys had a wonderful holiday, guys. I actually did. I got to tell you, I was worried about not being able to take it down. I had a great holiday and I couldn't wait because Laura does basically everything else. And she'll do the Feast of the Seven Fishes on Christmas Eve. I do Christmas Day dinner. And she also does Thanksgiving. I do Christmas Day. I do New Year's Day, which we made New Year's Eve this time. And then we had the leftovers on Christmas Day. And then I do Easter. And she does some things on Easter too, but I do main on Easter, which is like lamb, typically a lamb soup. I make lamb chops, right? Like a rack of lamb, but they're chops. And then the linguine with clams. So that's Christmas Eve. I do that on Christmas Eve. Right. She does everything else. I make the linguine with clams, which you saw it on Locals. That was before I added the pepper flakes Locals and some other stuff. That was the best linguine and clam I have ever made. I think it was so good. My son and I look forward to it. And when we both tasted it, I was like, whoa, not too much butter, not too much wine, not too much lemon. Like it was all perfect. Eyeball. I invoked my grandmother. Eyeball it, Richard. A pinch here, she used to say. Hey, Grandma, how much salt? A pinch, a pinch of salt. A pinch of this. And if you look at her recipes, it's like you need the Rosetta Stone to decipher Grandma's recipes. All right. A pinch of this, a pinch of that, a flake of this, a flicker of that. She was something, but that's how she did it, And I watched her. So like if sometimes I'll try too hard on something on a recipe and I'll mess it up, but if I just kind of do it the way that I know she would do it, it comes out magnificent. That's what happened here with this time. It's great. To taste, to odor, to sight. Get it right. All right. It's 3:35. We'll kick rocks here. Don't forget, like I said, what are the odds probably will be still on Mondays? I know Robert's got a lot of stuff going on and we have a case we have to handle. So maybe that won't be the case that he will be able to make it on Mondays. If that's true, then I'll wind up probably doing the show on the same time slot to keep it real. Mondays too. Every other noon, and I'm talking about Eastern time, but Mondays at 2, every other day at noon. Locals, get ready for a lot more, because like I said, I would rather do more short, but a lot more. Okay. There's just too much going on. And then again, I really, really stress, if you are already a supporter on Locals, you should definitely join us on the book club. It doesn't cost anything more. That's a benefit. Take it. And we're going to learn. There's so much that we're going to go into. We're going to finish. Once we finish the introduction, we're going to go into Leviathan. All right. And then treatise on government. And we're going to do it in a way where we're looking at this from a totally different perspective, right? This is about nationalism. It's not about, the way, some other people will look at the nature of man or the natural condition of man or inalienable rights. And when they read these things, they look at it through that framework. We're not. We're looking at it through the framework of studying nationalism, right? What is it? How do you define it? Has that definition changed over time? And basically, the reason we're going to start there and why Pecora thought it was smart to start there, and it was, is that if there's no such thing as nationalism, liberals, or if nationalism's a bad thing, liberals, who the hell are we in a social contract with? The government and who? And does that constitute a nation? How could you have a social contract or compact, Rousseau? By the way, Rousseau comes after Locke. We're going to be reading Rousseau after Locke. If that's the case, what's the point of a social contract at all? And how do we group each other into a group or a nation to determine who is obligated by that contract? About to show you how ridiculous these modern revisionist thinkers truly are and why they are having such a hard time dealing with somebody like Donald Trump. Okay? And someone even like Justine Trudeau has been around more than a president could be. How is he having such a difficult time ushering in this world order? If nationalism is fake or unreal or imagined, just means just because it's imagined does not mean it's not real. But even if it was just imagined, why did Brexit prevail? The benefit of this book, too, is hindsight. It was written after certain events, but way before certain events. We now have the benefit of seeing the EU experiment. If you would have read this book when it first came out, you would not know how that experiment ended. We now have the benefit of seeing that experiment through different eyes and understanding the questions they're asking and posing. Can this work? Can that work? We now have the answers to some of that. We now don't even know why. So it'll help us give it a greater understanding. All right. And of course, it will help us understand the concept of assimilation and why people are so drawn to this concept of nationalism. All right. Ultimately, we're all human beings. The human connection is something that we seek, and we seek to put together these like words and understandings and concepts to help us to grasp what it is we desire and what it is we want to protect. All right. All right. With that in mind, all right. That's a hell of a tease, isn't it? One hell of a tease. All right. Don't forget to like the video if you like it. Share it far and wide. But the best place, of course, to follow us if you want to support our work is right here. peoplespundit.locals.com. peoplespundit.locals.com. The link to the public polling project is in the video description, as are all of the advertisers that we just did reads for. Go check them out. Look, you'll notice that the campaign for the Christmas poll, I believe, is still up. That's because it didn't fund. We'll just leave it up and we'll see how it goes. All right. So I'm not going to restart it every single time. We'll just leave it up. We'll wind up doing what we did last year, which is multiple polls anyway for campaigns if we need to do that. And we will. All right. What else? We'll get back on the schedule with Sean soon, and we'll have Savage Wednesdays on Wednesday nights, as always. We'll get back into that groove. There's so much to talk about with him, and maybe I'll have him on the show, actually. And then with that said, I think that's it. If I have anything else for you, of course, we'll remind you. And that's another reason why to jump on Locals, because sometimes I will post up there that I'm not going to go run to Twitter and post. All right. X, whatever. It's for the mundane at this point. Talk a little bit more about Elon Musk on Wednesday and what his role will be and how other countries are deathly afraid of him. All right, but that'll be part of it. And then we'll also talk about the end of this certification, which, we really have enough time to go over, and what the new incoming Trump administration looks like. Some of the questions we'd like to ask in the next poll. All right. So again, stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and share if you liked the video. See you on Locals, folks. Thanks so much for watching. As always, Inside the Numbers. Welcome back, 2025. Welcome back. Welcome back. Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. Deuces.